Hey guys, it's Payne. I'm really excited to introduce a brand new show to Bet the Board that combines sports and alternative investing, the very first of its kind. Sports betting and collectibles converging is inevitable. Let me tell you why. Sports cards and memorabilia are another way to get money into the market and do it without limit restrictions or the substantial hold you're accustomed to with sports betting. Whether you collected cards as a kid and are looking to get back into the hobby, this podcast is for you. If you've been collecting cards for years, this podcast will make you think and operate more efficiently. Are you in real estate? The parallels to investing in sports cards and memorabilia are uncanny. You're on Wall Street. Well, listen close. The best sports cards have outperformed the S&P 500 by 6x since 2013. And during the 2008 market crash, sports cards held up better than the S&P 500. Bet the Board, in conjunction with PWCC, presents CardBoard Chat, an entertaining, sophisticated, and informative podcast that combines sports, analytics, betting, cards, and memorabilia. Without further ado, this is CardBoard Chat with Jesse Craig, a leading figure in the collectible space, and me, Payne. Back after a 2-week hiatus. How was the vacation, sir?
It was good. Good to get away. Not perfect. The weather was unfortunately overcast for a lot of the trip, pretty windy, so the wife wanting to lay by the pool and get as many rays as possible put a little damper on that. We escaped the Oregon rain to go out somewhere to get some sun, and she was a little frustrated by that. Just bad luck, but look, we got away. Working by the pool on my phone with a beer in hand is a pretty good way to do it.
I like it. First world problems is the weather
exactly.
not cooperating completely on your vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
How's everything else going? We had the Mint in Las Vegas, some interesting stuff going on there with Beckett.
Oh boy.
I was going to gently slide that in. I didn't tell you this in advance. What was the synopsis there? Did you say, hey,
I know a lot of
idea, guys?
Yeah, no, I know a lot of guys at Beckett, and I like a lot of the guys at Beckett. So I'll preface with that. My biggest frustration, honestly, with the whole thing is that they actually rolled it back. I think that it's like, look, if you're a business and you're going to make a business decision, then you need to follow through on that business decision. What they didn't do right is poll their users to figure, their clients and figure out, what they actually wanted to see, right? That's the miss there. I knew about this coming out about a month before it did. They called and got my opinion on it, and some of it made sense and some of it didn't, and I expressed that to them. But look, the reality is, and you know this from looking at data because you're a data guy, min gems, so 395s and a 9, those don't sell for as much as, 495s or 495s and a 10 or 395s and a 10, right? So the market does actually determine that 9.5 min gems are worth less than, quad or quad plus. So I understand the theory there, wanting to be, people just want 10s, quote unquote. I understand that. I just think it was honestly just wasn't a great execution is the gist of it.
I completely agree. But it is good to at least hear they fielded the room a little bit, because that was the overarching point, is that they talked to a bunch of experts and all the experts agreed. And then when they posted it on social media, in the current day and age that we are in, there is never wholehearted agreement. And of the 900 comments, they were all like, this is an abortion. It was the first time we've ever seen agreement on a post on social media since the recent administration. I mean, no one was agreeing on anything. So just wanted to get your viewpoint on that quickly before we get into the heart of the topic. It is baseball season. That is here.
Before that.
Go ahead.
Before that.
Yeah.
We talked about something off air.
We did.
And speaking of air, you said that you have seen the new Air movie how many times?
3 times.
That's a easy sign that you have no children.
So first of all, let's kind of peel back the curtain here. I am close to this movie because I have a couple Jordan assets.
Uh-huh.
including a partnership on one of the pairs of 91 finals Jordan sneakers that were gifted to Sonny Vaccaro.
Amazing.
And the gentleman who represents Matt Damon in this movie, I am friends with. So got a little bit of an advanced release of this movie through an agent, and then went to see it opening day, 12 o'clock Wednesday. And then I get a text message halfway through the day where my dad's like, "Hey, did you want to go see this tonight?" I said, "Sure, Pop." So it
did you tell him you saw it already?
Not until after. Yeah. So that's how that ultimately unfolded.
I love it though, but it's good enough to go see multiple times in the theater.
Oh, it's fantastic. And the only
Love
negativity people will have towards it is them thinking, "Hey, I'm going to see a Michael Jordan movie," and being a little bit disappointed that there isn't a ton of Jordan in it. This is very much Nike, Sonny Vaccaro.
It's the Nike story.
It is the Nike story. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's great. No, I love that. I'm looking forward to seeing it whenever I can cut away for 3 hours.
Yeah. Well,
you
know, listen, it's the trade-off, right? I didn't get to go to a sandals resort for 7 days and flippy floppy and some pools and drink and booze. So
exactly, because it took an entire village. So I've used up my 3 hours of babysitting I'll need to go see this movie for about 6 months worth in the last week.
Yes. Okay. We've now gone about 5 minutes, and I don't think we've mentioned a card, but I thought it was good discussing the Beckett stuff at the top and having you bust my balls about watching Air 3 times. Baseball season. Have you been watching?
I have.
Okay.
I have. I like baseball. I do love the new pitch clock, by the way. I love it speeding up the game. I think it's great for the game of baseball. They've got to get nimble and quick. Everyone's attention span's shorter these days. It's smart. So I still remember last year I was watching a Red Sox Yankees game, and a football game came on in like the second or third inning of the baseball game, and I clicked over to that and watched the entire football game and was able to come back to the baseball game. I mean, that's how slow baseball is.
Yeah. We're like 15 games into the season, right? Roughly there. So far, I think the rules have been good for the growth of sport. You actually see it in the numbers. Now, the sample size is small, right? It's like, again, under 20 games. But offense has increased, and I think, when there aren't outside factors, the data will suggest that offense is helpful for card sales too. And right now, you just look, games have been cut by about 26 minutes, from over 3 hours to a shade more than 2.5. Batting average up about 18 points. OPS up about 58 points. And I think I talk about analytics and data all the time. The analytics guys have killed sports to a degree, right? It's either a three or a layup. We're not stealing bases. Suddenly we can steal bases now. And so you're seeing that element of the game return, far more attempts, far better success rate with the larger bases. Team runs up more than half a run per game, and the weather was really cold to start the season. God,
let's see what it looks like in the summer.
It's gonna be pretty nutty. So I think this is a good jumping off point. Again, roughly 15 games into the season, talk about some players maybe to buy, sell, or hold, and I will kind of let you lead the way. Are there anything that's interesting in terms of players standing out and where there might be some investment opportunity?
Yeah, I'll focus on a couple guys individually, and then also an individual / team play. Because baseball is such an individual sport, right? Like the team success actually affects trading cards in baseball less than it does in basketball or football.
Yep.
So I will talk individually who I think stands out, and then I also will talk about a couple guys on teams that I think are playing really well, that if they continue playing well, and their team wins, that's just an added bonus. But because that's always been the knock on Trout, right? The Angels are terrible. Like, Mike can only do so much, but the Angels have made one playoff series since he's been on their team, and they got swept. So we don't know if we have any kind of October magic coming out of Mike Trout. I would love to see that this year. They've started off the year okay, which feels like standard Angels baseball. They have two of the best players in baseball on their team, and they can't figure it out. But we'll see. So those are none of the guys I want to talk about. I want to talk about a guy named Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Ooh.
He, his father is his father, right? Senior stud, Hall of Famer. You expect Vlad Jr. to hit for power, and he hasn't really done that yet. he only has a couple home runs so far in the season. But what I do love is that he's actually third in Major League Baseball in batting average for a guy that hits dingers. So you think about if he turns on the home runs, well, then that's going to obviously help everything. But he hasn't even done his flashy stuff yet from a card perspective, and he's third in Major League in average. And then you can actually look at his teammate as well, a guy named Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette's sixth in the Major League Baseball in batting average. He's got 4 jacks, 11 RBIs. So Bo's playing some unbelievable baseball. Now, these guys happen to play in the toughest division in baseball. You know, the AL East is just absolutely brutal. My beloved Red Sox are 8-8 to start the season and are dead last in the division, right? Like the Blue Jays and the Yankees are 10-6, and they're tied for the second best record in the division behind the Rays, who are 14-2. So it's a brutal division, but these guys have an opportunity from an individual perspective to have a really good season. I like how they're starting off. And I mean, to have 2 guys on the same team, top 6 in the MLB batting average, is pretty impressive. Another guy I'd look at, this is a little Oregon love here, Oregon State. Second-year player at Oregon State is Adley Rutschman. You know, he's hitting .344 with 4 jacks, 13 ribbies. He's top 20 in a handful of categories across all of Major League Baseball. The guy's really offensively has really started the season off strong. And look, the Orioles are 9-8. They're in a tough division, right? Another AL East team, but that's a guy to kind of watch out for this year as a catcher to see if he can keep the average up. Now, I've got a couple guys that these are players that were really hot. They're younger. They were really hot. Their stuff has cooled down, but their teams are playing really good baseball, and they're playing really good baseball to start the season as well. Wander Franco, hitting .318, 4 home runs, 13 ribbies. Rays are 14-2. You know, if they continue on this tear, I mean, that bodes really well for his card value, because the Rays are going to be in the spotlight the whole season, right? And winning, while it's not as important in baseball, it definitely does help. So I really like Wander Franco as a play right now. And then a guy that got so much hype as a rookie, got hurt, but he's playing great to start the season, so is his team, is Ronald Acuna Jr. So he's hitting .373. He's 7th in Major League Baseball with 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. The Braves have the best record in the NL, and if they can keep all that up, it's the same thing as Franco. Like, you're looking at a guy come September, if he's hitting over 300 and their team's in the playoff race, his card should be doing very well.
This is always a very interesting debate for me, right? Because these guys that come out red hot, and we're in, March and April when the market is typically hot with baseball. Yep. Like it's tough for me to
It's a risk.
Pound the table and be like, hey, but you mentioned some great guys. I mean, Pete Alonso leading the league in home runs. That was a guy who was red hot when his rookie cards came out and kind of tailed off a little bit. But, very big city. Vlad Guerrero, scorching hot, historic last name, as you mentioned. Blue Jays are the only team in Canada, right? So you have everyone kind of, gravitating there. Shohei Ohtani kind of on his way to another MVP-like season, and talks of him having the first $500 million contract in MLB history. I like that you mentioned Ronald Acuna Jr. because he's back smashing the ball. And I think the way the Braves organization is right now, they're built for long-term success. You even have a guy like Ryan Mountcastle, isn't really a household name, but a lot of sharp prospectors were keying on him, and he's come out of the gate on fire. I will say this, because I was digging into Wander Franco. I have a differing viewpoint. Like,
let's hear it.
I think it's different, right? Like, obviously the Rays started like a house on fire, and Wander's been scorching hot out of the gate. He's hitting for average. He's got some pop this season. Small sample, but the power numbers have increased, which you pointed out at the top, like, really helps card values, and the chicks dig the long ball. That's still a thing.
Flashy, yep.
And you're looking at Franco, he's hitting a double or a home run every 6 plate appearances. It was every 13 last season. I think what might, it's tough because Tampa Bay is a small market. And I think the hope for a lot of long-term investors with him is that he might get out of there. And, you have this arbitration window from like year 3 to year 6 that was avoided, and all of a sudden he inks for 11 years and $185 million, and then they have this 12th year option at $38 million built in. So he's going to be with the Tampa Bay Rays, and so the market makes me a little nervous. And the way my mind thinks, right, it's just like hot start for both team and player. Baseball market again, hot in April. Tampa's small market. I'm probably looking to dump, right? And if Wander suddenly becomes a 99.9 percentile player, I'll lose out on that upside for sure. But there are plenty of fantastic young shortstops that aren't worth much. I mean, you think Carlos Correa, 28 in his prime. He won Rookie of the Year, won a World Series, Platinum Gold Glove defensively. He's 28, right? His WAR is 40. Who's dying to have a Carlos Correa card right now?
Well, I think the argument can be made there is that he's 28. You just said it, right?
But he's
Wander Franco's
on his way.
But Wander Franco's 22 years old, and so you think about, and I get it.
Like where's Wander Franco going? Is my point.
But
like,
this
is he going to have a 40 WAR in 6 seasons?
Fair,
right?
Fair.
Like
but
even
from
Francisco Lindor.
From an investor perspective, though, you get it. How like guys always worry about people that are old. I mean, even the guy like I mentioned, like Adley Rutschman, he's 25. He's 3 years older than Wander Franco.
Right.
He's 25 years old as a second-year player. So you think about like where guys start, because people think longevity, statistics, X, Y, and Z. Correa is a stud. He's also been on a team that's had a little bit of scrutiny.
Right.
So that doesn't help from a collectability perspective. But Franco is clean as a whistle. Yes, he's in a small market team. What he's going to be is TBD. We don't know that. That's part of the risk of gambling on any of these guys. And so, but the fact that he is only 22 years old and he's in his third season?
Yep.
I mean,
so he starts compiling young. That's the key, right?
Correct.
When we talk about baseball,
that's my point. Yes.
And the milestones, you want these guys that come up early so they can start compiling, so they can hit some of those milestones, whether it's 3,000 hits or 500 home runs. And the 3,000 hits might actually start becoming obtainable for some of these guys without that third man shift to one side of the field, right? So that's that's a positive. But like even you go to a guy like Francisco Lindor. I mean, he signs a $341 million contract on the open market. He's in the prime of his career at 29, 2-time Silver Slugger winner, another Platinum Glove winning shortstop. He moves to a massive market in New York City. You can get a 2011 Bowman Chrome Blue Refractor auto to 150 in gem mint condition for $800, right? Like,
yeah, it's wild.
It's wild, right?
It's wild.
Like the Carlos Correa Gold Rookie out of 50 just sold for $2K. So it's like, I'm kind of willing to dump Wander after like a hot personal and team start, and I'm willing to bet on Franco not being like Ruth, Mantle, Jackie, Trout, Jeter, Mays, Griffey, like Jeter, Cobb. Like that's really where you have to get to have long-term sustainability in a baseball market. That's just what it feels,
I hear that. If you're so big on Lindor, then put your money where your mouth
I'm not.
is. And go,
that's my
go
point.
Buy that
like,
go buy that superfractor we have up in Premier right now.
I think
we have a superfractor live.
I think he's a fantastic player, but that's my point. Is like his market is like it's he didn't have a great year last year, but 2 years ago he's signing this monster deal. That's how good of a player he is, and like he's in New York City. Started this season pretty hot, and he's got no market. It's just wild to watch unfold that a lot of these great players just don't have a ton of card interest, and I just wonder where Wander ends up in 2 years, right? I mean,
I will. Yeah, no, I agree. I'll try to wrap this segment up in a bow for us, saying that young baseball players, they're probably the biggest risk of any,
yeah,
of like quarterbacks, basketball players. Like it's so hard to have longevity in that sport and to know early who's going to be the guy, right? Like it's tough, and there is a lot of risk. That's for sure.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. It's time, folks. That's right. We're going to discuss undervalued and overvalued cards, or maybe even some memorabilia assets, potentially some players. Is it time to buy, sell, or hold on to these assets or players? We'll give you some opinions and back it up.
A couple guys that we're going to talk about here that, I shouldn't say a couple. One guy, for sure, that probably doesn't have as much risk as some of the guys we just talked about on the baseball diamond. Jesse, I'm going to let you lead the way with your undervalued selection of the week. I'm not going to razz you. I'm not going to bust your balls for being a little bit of a Laker homer, but I will let you present your case, sir.
I appreciate that. I don't think this is a homer play. I think this is just common sense.
I agree.
So my undervalued this week is Kobe Bryant, and it's specifically game used and on card auto cards. So I mean, look, Kobe's one of the greatest to ever do it. He's the closest thing we're probably ever going to get to Jordan. If you've seen those videos online, the overlay of their moves, like Kobe emulated everything he did after MJ. And so, like, and MJ is the GOAT. He's the undisputed GOAT. Anybody that wants to say LeBron's the GOAT, shut up. You're wrong. It's MJ. And so Kobe's dead. Unfortunately, right? Kobe's gone. We're not going to get any more Kobe Bryant on-card autographs anymore. We haven't had any for the last 3+ years. And so from a supply perspective, it's fixed. You could get some game-used cards, but you're not going to get any more game-used and on-card autos, where there's going to be a lot of other players that continually, as these manufacturers make cards, they can go get them to sign stuff, sticker autos, on-card autos, whatever it may be. They can still buy old jerseys there and make patch cards, right? So, but Kobe can't sign anything anymore, and that's a fact. And so the supply is fixed. And I think when you really boil down his cards, there's value everywhere. He is so beloved, and his following is like a cult-like following in the United States, in Lakerland, in the Philippines, in China. I mean, he's one of the most recognizable athletes that have ever walked the face of this earth internationally.
Can't figure it out.
He's a massive brand. And I'm telling you, like, I saw an 07 Ultimate Collection game use patch auto on card in a Beckett 9.5 with Kobe and George Gervin. George Gervin, another guy that doesn't get enough love. It went for just over $2,000. Like, what? Now, they weren't beautiful patches or anything, and I know George Gervin's on the card, but stuff like I'm just trying to give you an example of there's value all over the place, and there's a slew of Kobe cards with good patches and on-card autos that you can get for around $5,000. Like, in the realm of our market, like, that's a $25K MJ card, maybe more. And you can get Giannis for 70% of Kobe values. That should not be the case. That should not be the case whatsoever. You can go buy it'll cost you $3,500 versus $5K to buy a Giannis game use patch auto card versus Kobe. Like, that delta is not appropriate whatsoever. And so from an undervalued perspective, if you have a bankroll, you want to make one play, go buy and I don't even know if I have a single Kobe auto card. I'm serious. So this isn't a pump or a homer play. This is like pure. I don't understand it. Doesn't make sense.
Again, we have a different mindset there. I was hoping you said you had a couple Kobe's, that you're going to war with the people you were advising. No. But I get it. It's the inverse in this space. I player efficiency rating, Dwayne Wade's better without the stuff off the court. And
he's been one of my undervalueds before too.
Yeah, everything is perfect with this, right? Like, Kobe's not going to be signing anymore. I think we actually touched on this a little bit in passing in episode 15 when we discussed that 03 UD Glass Kobe Jordan duel. And,
right.
Simply put, like, all the retired guys that are relentlessly signing for companies these days, like, Kobe won't be. And that's really the entire play here, like that level of rarity. So I like that very much, and I'm not breaking your balls, and I'm a little hesitant to do that as we lead into to my choice, which is a little different.
Okay, let me start. I'll give a little preface here. I saw this come across, and I was honestly shocked.
Thought I got
to
abducted
see this
by aliens in the 2 weeks
as you're undervalued. Yes, and because look, whether you're right or wrong, I'd put zero research into any of his stuff. This goes against everything I've known you to stand for. So I'm really curious to see if this is like a Payne insider play because you think his team is going to be really legit next year, a combination, like what data is behind this from your end. So, like, let's hear it. What's your undervalued this week?
Well, before I start, if you had to guess if this particular gentleman or card is going to go up from now until the start of football season, what would be your guess? Am I a winner or a loser?
It would be a winner.
Okay. So
yeah, it would be a winner. I would buy pre-NFL draft.
Okay.
And then I would buy probably 2 or 3 weeks after the draft because they're going to do something that's going to make someone just speculate, right?
Yep.
And then I would sell preseason to limit risk. So that's close of mine.
The gentleman that we're talking about here, who I think has a chance to increase over the next 4 or 5 months, it's Trevor Lawrence. In general, I think that's a decent play right now. One specific card you might want to include in the short-term portfolio, like a 2021 Silver Prism base or variation. You look at the Silver variation right now, it's a Pop 36 and PSA 10. The Silver base, Pop 51, or you could go the volume game, which I know you guys at PW like a lot, right? You know, stack up a couple PSA 9s. The base has less than 400 PSA Mint 9 copies. The variation less than 500 Mint copies. Both are selling for around $120 in PSA 9. So a little different of an investment in card I'm talking about than usual. And I think, you know, Jesse, we try to do our best to cater to all levels of collectors, investors.
Yeah.
But you know, what's kind of appealing here to me is, like, of any AFC team that made the playoffs last season, the Jaguars have the easiest schedule in 2023 based on our projections.
Okay.
And they're super early and they'll fluctuate a little bit. So that's something to think about. And the Jaguars, right, despite playing in the gauntlet that is the AFC, which continues to get tougher and tougher. The Dolphins are stacking guys. You have, regardless of what you think of Aaron Rodgers, right? He's an upgrade over Wilson. You know, the Jaguars have one of the 10 easiest schedules in the entire league. Jacksonville is just one of 2 teams to make the playoffs last year and return in 2023 with a bottom 10 schedule. The South Division, you think about that as a whole, right? Just a dumpster fire. The Texans are picking second. The Colts are picking fourth in the draft next week. Titans are looking to trade Derrick Henry. They traded A.J. Brown last offseason, all to absorb Ryan Tannehill's contract, who has like a top 5 cap hit this season at nearly $39 million, right? In the easiest,
good for Tannehill.
Yeah, good for him, right? Easiest path to the playoffs is win your own division, and I think Jacksonville will be favored to do that. And then you just kind of like take it one step further with some of the data and some of the things that, you know, I know from the betting side. It's like it's year 3 for Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. Year 2 in a Super Bowl winning system ran by Doug Peterson. If Doug can win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, he sure as shit can drum up enough hype over the next 4 or 5 months with one of the most talented quarterbacks ever in Trevor Lawrence. And I think we saw Trevor Lawrence turn the corner. And you talk to a lot of scouts, the general thought is it can take 8 to 12 games to acclimate to a brand new scheme and system. You look at Jacksonville last year, they started the season 3-7. They got their bye week. From week 11 onward, Jacksonville had a top 10 schedule adjusted offense. You think about Trevor Lawrence's top 3 pass catchers last season. They're Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. They were all brought in last offseason. You now get a second year working with that entire trio again. I think even in like the middle of a recession here, or whatever we want to talk about this, I think it's difficult to get hurt buying Prism Silver Trevor Lawrence PSA 9s for 120 and just looking to hit singles and doubles from now until the first week in September before the season starts. And heck, like, we know the Jaguars' schedule in terms of who they're going to play. We don't know how it will align from week to week yet, but if they start with 2 or 3 easy games where they'll be favored to start, you know, and have the potential to go 3-0, the exit strategy might not be, you know, at the National or the first week of September, but it might be as the hype increases with a 2-0 or a 3-0 start. So I think there's some potential here where the downside risk is virtually nothing, and you have the real potential here to double up.
You made me just want to go buy Trevor Lawrence cards. well done, sir. Well done.
This is the whole premise of this show, right? It's like the converging of sports betting and sports cards. You and I believed it was here. A lot of people did not. You start to talk to people now out in events, and they're like, "Why hasn't someone done this?" We did it. We're here.
Yep, exactly. Look, I'm on board. I think that they looked really solid to close the season. He, it feels like he figured out a little bit. Obviously, under Urban Meyer was a complete dumpster fire and shit show. But year 2 for him or year 1 for Peterson went pretty well once he got adjusted to the system, and the schedule, was fairly easy last year as well. But their division, like, again, a bottom 10 schedule, they've got some opportunity here next year to make a decent playoff run. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
pick a number, any number, whatever it may be. We got a number inside, but we want a magic number. All right, this is where we're going to pick a few big cards that enter in an auction over the next couple of days, and we're going to try and guess how much they sell for in advance. Throw out a number. We got one too.
We don't have to wait so long to see how this segment's going to shake out. We will know how our fate is sealed Sunday after seeing some of these cards end at PWCC auction. We're magic number time here. 3 cards this week that you picked. I got to tell you, you came back firing here. There's some wild variants and some real tough ones here. Yep. This was, I got to be candid with you, like this wasn't overly pleasant to prepare for.
No, it's hard. I picked them. I'm a glutton for punishment apparently because I picked these things. I had a hell of a time trying to come up with value as well.
This was very, very difficult. The first one is a man you were slandering at the top of the show here. Giannis. 2013 Select Green rookie, serial numbered out of 5 with the NBA off. Great card, serial numbered out of 5. I do think for non-autoed colored cards, Prism has the superior upside, but Select, it's a beautiful card. It's an actual game played action shot, and it's not a yearbook picture with the ball in Giannis's hands like Prism. So this is a really interesting card here, and talk to us a little bit about it and give us your best guess.
Yeah, it's what I really do like. I like Select in general. You can get it for fraction of the price of Prism. This is a unique variation out of 5. You're right. Action shot. It's got the beautiful. It's a really big rookie. The RC logo up in the top right hand corner. It's bigger than most I've seen. But I really like how young Giannis looks in this thing too. Right, like little baby face. It's so funny. It's like seeing Steph's rookies. Like the amount these guys have grown up in front of our eyes is kind of crazy. But the card itself is very, very rare. Obviously, only 5 produced. 9.5 of this sold in a premier auction about a year ago for $40,000. Market's a different place right now. This one is just authentic. It hasn't been graded, but it does have a clean heat map on it. So that means that when you authenticate a card through NBA, they will give you a heat map that comes with it. So as a buyer, you have full transparency on whether or not there are any condition issues. So this has a clean heat map, which means it could grade high. Usually means it'll grade like, I'd say like an 8.5 or higher. But great card. Giannis unfortunately tweaked his back last night, I believe. And so when I prepped for the show on Saturday and wrote down like how if he dominates the first round, it could add 10 to 20% in value for the whatever. Well, they lose game 1, he gets hurt. He's got to make up some ground this week to have this card do well. So I have tweaked my number that I did have because of him getting hurt and them losing game 1. Because believe it or not, that's how short-sighted people can be. But I've got this card at $7,790.
Interesting. Oof. Okay. So we kind of know what this card is, and you mentioned how beautiful it is, right? It's like green, so team color match, although Giannis is wearing, that alt-red uniform.
The throwback.
Which really makes this card pop. You hit this perfectly and touched on my talking points in that the Bucks dropped game 1. Giannis leaves with the back injury. Game 2 is Wednesday. Game 3 is Saturday. I hate when markets are impacted by irrelevant sample sizes. Like I am sample size guy. And if you like data, you should be a sample size guy too. But if Giannis doesn't play in either of those games and the Bucks are trailing heading into game 4, I think it has an impact on this specific sale Sunday night to some degree. Is it 10%, 25%? Like who knows? So the hammer will have some variance to it from that perspective. You mentioned the sale of the 9.5. This card sold in PSA 9 back in December for $18K. No numerical grade, but it has the clean map as you referenced there. I am actually going to come in a little bit higher than you on this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, really? You're surprised by that? I'm going to be about $1,000 over you at 8,700 on this Giannis Select grade.
That was my original number pre-injury. It was 8,790. I just dropped it $1,000.
Interesting. So we'll
right
see. In line.
Yeah,
you might
right
have second guessed yourself into a loser here.
I could have.
Okay.
We'll see.
This next card, again, Not this was not fun. Let's just put it that way.
This was impossible.
2009 exquisite Yao Ming, Amari Stoudemire, NBA logo man patch, 1 of 1. Also comes with the NBA authentication. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Amari's my guy.
I didn't know that.
Florida kid. And my best friend at the time was on Amari Stoudemire's AAU team, the All-Florida team. He was actually the backup point guard. Okay. And starting point guard goes down before the tournament. My buddy gets propelled in, and he averages 14 assists just dumping it down to Amari, and he got a scholarship offer to Mississippi State because of it.
Beautiful.
So that is my Amari Stoudemire story. I like Amari just because of he's one of those guys that a lot of people won't think of this, but helped change the game to the up-tempo system. And I was actually reading an article. It's pretty funny. Those Suns teams with D'Antonio and Nash and Amari, they played so fast, but relative to today's NBA, Phoenix would have been 26th in pace this season. So
no kidding.
Yeah, just how the times have changed. And hell,
Jeez.
like I fully believe had Amari and Boris Diaw not been ejected for coming off the bench in 2007, like the Suns likely have an NBA title. You had some unfortunate injuries for Amari. I think the basketball guys really respect Amari more than casual fans. And, of course, Yao Ming, you mentioned Kobe having a cult-like following. Yao Ming has one, obviously, as well.
Oh, yeah.
This sold back in June of 2022 raw for $27K. Yep. You had the 06 Exquisite Logo Man Dual Cell and PWCC Premier with McGrady for $41K. Great price, considering, I think the McGrady Yao 04 Exquisite Dual Logo Man has been assessed at a value of like around 55, 60 right now. I was really surprised to see you guys get 41, just a monster sale. Credit to what you guys do there.
Appreciate it.
I am going, this is terrible, and I know this is why you had me lead off. I'm lost. My understanding is, looking at when this was posted, this is a flash, because there are other duels that you guys are selling that for some reason have more bids and are a little bit higher than where this currently sits. So I think this got listed pretty recently for flash, and that might cause initial downturn to skew some ideas and thoughts on this one. I'm going to be wrong here. I'm going to come in at 20,400.
20,400. Okay. Yeah, this one's interesting.
It's so tough.
It is tough.
Yeah.
So
if it sells for 10,000 more than that, it'd be the least surprising thing ever.
Yeah. Well, look, it sold for 26,000 a year ago. The market's interesting. The Yao. What's interesting about Yao Ming's following is that you miss one of those guys in the room that night, and it can really affect the value of the card, because there's some really serious Yao Ming collectors.
Yes.
But if they're just not in there that night,
there's a couple guys I know looking to go for like every logo man Yao has, and that's going to be Mission Impossible. But there's guys that are, yes, and that's kind of why, like, if someone purchased this for 27 and now they're looking to sell it, that's a Yao collector not in the market, and that could impact things for sure.
Correct. So I'm with you that I actually think it's going to do less than last time. I'm playing this one safe, just knowing that there's a chance that one of these Yao guys is not going to come to the auction block. That even though Stoudemire's your boy, he's not.
You're
there's not the most
information here that I don't have. Continue.
He's just not the most demand. He's just. He's not the guy that people are looking for.
No, I'm talking about the bidding. I think a guy who suddenly is a bidder on Yao stuff who might not be in play here. And I think there's some inside intel here.
That's not accurate. Conspiracy theories are running through the wind right now because of you. Thanks, Payne.
My tinfoil hat is on as we speak.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I'm a little bit under you on this one. I'm at 17.5 flat.
Okay. So if I look like an idiot and it goes for 4, then we're both idiots. I feel okay with that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
The next one, I mean, come on. I have no idea here. 2016 Panini Eternal Black Kobe Bryant NBA Logo Man patch, 1 of 1. This is incredibly tricky because it's not technically the forward-facing Logo Man that's on the front of a jersey. It's more of the laundry tag Logo Man on the back. Okay. Talk to us a little bit about this one. Give us your best guess. This is another one that has the ability to make us both look like bumbling idiots.
It really does. And it's not even from a jersey. It's from a shooting shirt. So I just want to preface that too. But this set itself, not a lot of people know about this set from 2016 Panini Eternal, but they have some unbelievable cards in the set. And it's because they took jerseys, game-used jerseys from the finals. So there's cards out there. And I do own a couple of LeBron pieces where 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10, but they're game-used jerseys from the finals in the set. So it's a really important. 2016 Panini Eternal is a great set. They've got those for the Warriors as well. So there's Steph's out there, from that incredible finals in 2016 where the Cavs came back down 3-1, won the championship. And so this set itself has a place in my heart. A few of those auctioned recently, and I actually missed the closing of the auction because I was traveling and was really upset that I did because I would have loved to buy more of them. But this being it is a logo man, but it's not the traditional jersey logo man. So it's smaller. It's from a tag. It's from a shooting shirt, but still cool looking card. Beckett 8.5. It is a 101. It is game used from Kobe. So all those things considered, I've got this at 4,310.
Woo. Boy, oh boy. Just incredibly tricky, right? I'm amazed that you really like this one because to me, it's not overly designed well and it's not an overly respected product with Panini. I did see the LeBron logo man for this brand this year sell for $15,100 in October of 2021. A Curry sold for $30,000 from this set in August of 2022. I've spoken with a couple Kobe collectors about this card, and the range is so freaking wide, and their range is right at your bottom. They were somewhere in the $4,000 to $6,000 range was what they gave me. Spoke to JB and Grant and Mike, all those guys. So I think this is tough, right? Kobe prices are really very difficult to think about, right? They were so high after the passing, and then that combined with COVID, where everyone's sitting home, locked in, trying to rekindle their old childhood passions to cure boredom, and so you had prices just surge, and now all of a sudden we're down 65% from some of those numbers. I'm going to come in here just to create a little bit of a gap and just go 5,000 on the button, right in the middle of my guy's range on this one. You're on the low end. I think the peak's probably 6, and I'm just going to hammer right in the middle there and come in at 5,000 on this one.
Yeah, I was pretty conservative, to be honest with you. I would not be shocked if you won this one. I know for a fact if I was able to bid on this, it would eclipse 5,000 because I'd get in a bidding war with somebody. But it's a neat piece. It's a 101. If you don't have the budget to spend, because if this is a real Logo Man 101 Kobe game used, you're looking at 25 to 30,000.
Yep. So
this is an opportunity for someone to come in and get this at a discount per se. When it's still Logo Man looking, it's still a 101. It's still Kobe. It's a great set. So I'm not shocked if this goes for $5,000 or $6,000. I was playing a little bit conservative.
Yeah, there's more buyers in that pool. It's an interesting conversation that we kind of always have. Sometimes our goal is to get the best looking and the highest grade possible. And I think, there's some merits to that, but there's certainly more buyers in this range. And if this is your only opportunity to acquire a Kobe Logo Man because the price is in that range, you certainly have a lot more bidders fighting it out. So I think we're pretty close here. It's just a very, very tricky one to figure out.
Damn, that's a ghost. We're going to highlight a card that hasn't sold in more than a year right now, or is serial numbered to less than 100 copies produced. We're going to talk about why this card is significant, maybe in terms of hobbies or language or just the overall rarity of it all, and why it's considered a ghost.
This one was really interesting to me because I knew of the card, I'd seen him in passing, but this one to me is just beautiful. Aesthetically, it's tough to beat this. We're talking about a 2017 Panini Flawless Green Jason Tatum RPA out of 5 and PSA 1010 grade. This is the definition of a ghost.
It really is. The card's gorgeous. I mean, it's got the green variation that's jersey matching. The patch is, very symmetrical. The interesting thing about, whether it's Tatum or Larry Bird or any Celtics or Celtic legends is that they never have multiple, more than 2 color patches, right? The Celtics are just green and white. That's all it is. And so this is about as good as it gets from a symmetrical green and white patch. It's very pretty. Dual 10, pop 1 out of 5, rookie for. I mean, look, if Giannis is down, the Celtics. Look, people are going to say Philly, whatever. The Celtics are coming out of the East, and they've got a real shot at winning it all this year because the West is kind of a mess, except for my Lakers. Just want to put that out there.
Reeves, baby.
Let's go. Rui and Reeves?
Yeah.
It's the Rui and Reeves show. This card is it really is pretty, aesthetically pleasing. This card's never hit the auction block as an out of 5 dual 10. He's had a great year. Tatum's been consistent. I think that's the biggest thing for his brand is that he's consistently played at a high level every year. He's got to cap this thing off with the championship here very soon. But I love the Flawless brand. What people don't realize is that these are actually game used where their NTs are not. So as a rookie card, in my opinion, the Flawless is better than NT.
Far superior. And I think we're going to see that even more once Fanatics is in the game pushing game use. Like everyone's just going to become smarter with that. Yeah.
I totally agree. So I literally have a note here that says Flawless will eclipse NT in time. That is what I believe because game used, and we've talked to people, Fanatics, they're saying they're getting rid of the what we call the manufactured patches or the non-game used stuff, which I think is great for collectors and investors. So I love this card. It's a true ghost. It's live in a premier auction right now. It's sitting at with the BP, it's sitting at 60,000. I think it's got room to go for about 80 to 100.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like this is literally one of Jason Tatum's very best cards. And there's really nothing you could ask for more in an RPA. Like just you go into some of the nuances of this card, right? Serial number to 5. The patch incorporates every color of the uniform. There's this awesome stitching break. It's game used, right? Flawless is a premium product. You get the full body action shot. The autograph, perfectly
vertical.
Struck, right? And bright blue, right? Vertical. You get the emerald variant, which is green, so it's matching the Celtics uniform. Just aesthetically, like this might be the best looking basketball card Panini made in 2017. Like it's perfect.
It's possible.
And even the back, right? Like has this rich looking gold design and lettering with the iconic Celtics logo. I the eventual buyer of this on Thursday night, 420, is hoping he's not high as a kite as I look at this right now, but that the Celtics can win a championship. And if that happens, this Jason Tatum card will surely surge.
Yeah, it's a special piece for a guy that's turning out to be a special player.
Trading cards and memorabilia have seen incredible growth as an alternative investment. The company leading the growth? PWCC Marketplace. PWCC Marketplace runs the largest weekly auction of authenticated sports cards, Pokemon cards, comic books, video games, and memorabilia in the world. PWCC Marketplace also has more than 65,000 items listed in their fixed price marketplace that you can make an offer on right now. Head over to pwccmarketplace.com and see why they're the best option for buying and selling trading cards, memorabilia, and all of your collectibles. So we doing this or are we doing that? You tell me and we'll tell you. We're going to compare 2 cards right now with similar value that are completely different. Let me give you an example. Let's just say for argument's sake, you have a vintage Mickey Mantle baseball card worth $30,000. But you also have a modern day Joe Burrow rookie card worth $30,000. Which one would you rather have and why? You tell us, we're going to tell you right now.
Pulling on the heartstrings again. The 2 cards we are going to debate in This or That, a 1953 Topps Mickey Mantle short print in PSA 5 with the PWCC Eye Appeal designation, and then a 2020 Metal Universe Precious Metal Gems PMG Green Sidney Crosby PSA 7. Again, like I think you've outdone yourself here. You managed to have all of the ducks align here. That both of these have sold recently and around the same price.
And I knew this would be a good one for you. Look, the Mantle in a 5 PWCC A sticker. It's a beautiful 5. Sold for $8,400 a week ago. It's a second-year Topps production, third-year Mantle card. These 53 Topps cards, if you're not familiar with them, go look them up. It is, in my opinion, it's just the epitome of a vintage card, right? It's got just a gorgeous look to it. 3 corners are white, 1 corner has color on it, which makes high grades or visually, appealing from an eye perspective difficult. I love this card. I love 53s. I like 53s more than 52s personally, and that part of that is that the border around the 53 isn't as pronounced as it is on the 52, and I'm a very symmetrical person. So, it's hard to find 52s that I really love because they need to be dead centered, and the border on a 53 is it fades into the card a little bit.
Yep.
And so it's not as pronounced, and so I've fallen in love with, as long as there's the one colored corner, as long as it's pretty sharp, that's that my eye goes to that on the 53s.
Bottom
so I
left.
love the 53s. Yep, exactly. And then card 2, 2020 Metal Universe, an homage to the 97 Precious Metal Gems. It's a Sidney Crosby PSA 7. It's serial numbered 1 of 100. It's the green, so the first 10 are made of green. Sold for $8,100 a week ago. It's like I said, the homage, the iconic remake of the 97 PMGs that are so popular that we've talked about a ton on the show. There was actually a throwback set they did in 2012 as well so Crosby has a 2012 version of this. But you look at these if you want to compare Mantle to Crosby's going to go down as a higher ranking all-time player in their sport than Mantle. Mantle's brand's unbelievable, played on a huge franchise, people loved him, but Crosby is known as a top 5 all-time talent for hockey, and you aren't going to get that for many discussions with Mickey Mantle. So serial number 1 of 100, adds a little shots fired. That's right. Serial number 1 of 100, a little extra juice on it because it's the first card produced that year of this specific card. So those that follow serial numbers closely, you'll learn that the last serial number or the first serial number or jersey numbers, which jersey numbers carry the highest premium, but first and last can sometimes carry a 10 to 20% premium depending if you have the right buyer in the room.
Completely. Go ahead.
This is a tough one for me. Honestly, it's harder than I thought it would. Once I broke it down and made my notes on it, I might surprise you here. I'm actually going to go with the Crosby.
Oh, you're not that. It doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
The 53 top short print Mantle is fantastic looking, to your point, extremely well centered. Only about 700 copies graded higher at PSA, and most of them don't have this kind of eye appeal. There are multiple PMG greens for Sidney Crosby and hockey cards in general. You have the 2012 Fleer Retro being the first. There were 4 total Fleer iterations, the 12, the 13, the 14, and then 16. And then in 2020, the set we're talking about now is back to having the traditional Metal Universe name. They do a very good job mimicking the iconic 97 design. Many of those PMG green designs over the years are ridiculously ugly, even though they sell for a decent amount because of the name. The design of both the 12 Retro and then this 2020 Metal Universe very much just look like the 97. So that's promising for the upside here. As we record this, right, in 2023, there's 80 total PMG green Crosby. So there's 8 iterations over, the years with 10 copies each.
There were that many?
Yeah.
I must not have been able to find them because of the naming.
So that matters a little bit. Right. And I'm shocked the way you went, and I envision cheating a little bit on this because I already own a 53 Topps Mantle short print and a little bit better of a grade, and so I'm content with that. So I'm letting the collector in me pick this battle, and so I land on the green Crosby as well with you, which I'm shocked. I figured for certain you were going with the Mantle here.
No, it's just something spoke to me about. First of all, it's the visual nature of greens, right? That beautiful shimmering green that these cards have, the iconic nature of the homage to 97, and then, really it's the all-time ranking that I think Crosby takes the edge on Mantle. Mantle has a bigger brand. Don't get me wrong. It's baseball, it's Yankees, it's Mickey Mantle. But
his peak was in the conversation of like the best ever, right? Like I always have
his peak,
I always have a tough time having these like era conversations because there's like all these guys are like, well, could you imagine if Shaq played like Bill Russell? Like, no shit, it's a different time, right? Like it's not fair, right? Like there's like strength and conditioning programs, right? Like guys aren't working 9 to 5s now. Like people have a tough time grasping that.
Imagine if Babe Ruth was in shape.
Right. Imagine if like Mickey Mantle knew that he could make, $400 million. He's probably now at the bar every single night schmoozing women, right? Like it's different, Yeah, it is. But, still we've got to go with what we have. And what we have is a guy with Crosby who is in the conversation for top 5, and Mantle doesn't necessarily crack that very often. It's usually Ruth, Mays, Aaron, Cobb, Ted Williams, Gehrig, and then Mantle, it's kind of in there. And some guys will say Barry Bonds. It's interesting. But Crosby seems to crack that top 5 in a hockey conversation. So that kind of took me over the edge, and that's why I went with the green Crosby. Bonds is the only guy that I've seen in my lifetime get walked with the bases loaded. So
unbelievable.
His prices have started to increase. Certainly in the 90s market, he's surging a little bit. What is interesting with this conversation, and I think probably why we both sided with the Sidney Crosby, when you have these debates as a collector or an investor, and there are only 10 of a card, and you want it, you do everything you can to acquire it. And then you realize that down the road, even if you have to pay a little bit more, then a Topps 53 Mantle is going to be much easier to obtain. And you end up with both cards in your portfolio at some point. But if you had to pick, or you only had the financial wherewithal to get one, you go and get the rare card that might never pop up again, and then you double back down the line and you go get your short print Mantle. So I think there's a teaching moment here with some of these cards, which I would kind of broaden my horizons, and I would get a bunch of stuff when I got into the space in like 16 and 17, and then finally like the light bulb turned on for me in 19. You start acquiring like these rare cards that are to 10 and 1 of 1s and to 50. And it's like, go capture that card first. You'll be able to double back and get some of these that are a little bit more widely available later on.
Totally agree.
As we depart, kind sir, talk to us. You're back. What's the workload look like? Anything fun going on at the offices of PWCC? The floor is yours.
We always got some fun things going on. We actually did a great, I've got a buddy that works for Brand Jordan, and they do all the promos for Brand Jordan. So we did a collaboration with them. They did a special shoe. If you check out PWCC's Instagram page, they did a one for Jackie Robinson Day. So there's a Jordan branded special Jackie Robinson shoe that we got brought in last week. We shot it alongside a 48 Leaf Jackie Robinson rookie and a PSA 9, which is likely a $3 million plus card. So, that got put out on Nice Kicks Instagram page. They have over 4 million followers. It was just a fun collaboration to do. And the shoe itself was branded around cards. So there's like a PSA looking label on the back of it. They did some homage to trading cards on the Jackie Robinson shoe. I've been pitching my buddy at Brand Jordan for years on doing a collab with cards and shoes, and it's been very successful this past week. So I think we're actually going to do more of it, which will be a lot of fun. Outside of that, Premier Auction closes this Thursday. We've got another one launching Thursday. So we have a special TCG auction launching this Thursday. That'll be a lot of fun to see. We've got about 75 to 100 lots of just Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, the trading card games going live. So we've got a lot going on over here. Always exciting.
Easiest way to check out PWCC is click the link in the podcast bio. A good show. Talk to you next week, buddy.
Make sure you follow Payne on Twitter at Payne Insider. Subscribe to Bet the Board and get notified when new episodes of CardBoard Chat air on Tuesdays. And be sure to stop by pwccmarketplace.com for all your collecting needs.